I thank my constituency executive, my councillors, and the constituents of North East Manchester, who, Madam Speaker, I have now given and served in this House 29 years of unbroken service as Member of Parliament. Which, by the way, makes me the longest serving Member of Parliament for the parish of Manchester. I want to thank the leadership and staff of the Ministry of Transport and Mining, our boards of directors, as well as management and staff of our agencies. Although I have only served for a few months in this ministry, so far I've witnessed the staff work diligently to ensure that the strategic objectives of the ministry are being met, despite the various challenges that we face. And I acknowledge the support and work of our Minister of State, the Honourable J.C. Hutchinson, the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Alvin Hales, and the Chief Technical Director, Dr. Janine Dawkins, who have all been of tremendous help to me upon my assignment as Minister of Transport and Mining. I also wish to express thanks to the previous Minister of Transport and Mining, Mr. Robert Montague, for his hard work while at the ministry. And while I'm on that subject, to also acknowledge and thank Minister Mike Henry for the work that he has done in this ministry as well. Madam Speaker, it would be remiss of me if I did not acknowledge the resilience of our Jamaican people, who have proven again and again that indeed we lickle but we tallow. The past 2 years have brought into full focus the express need to ensure that we have the required policies and programs in place to combat adversities and crises. While we have managed admirably amidst the fallout from the pandemic, it has highlighted some existing shortfalls which need to be and must be addressed. In this presentation, being delivered under the theme, Getting Back on Track, Revitalizing with Purpose, outlines the achievements of the ministry over the past year and the plans going forward. Thank you. As we recover from the effects of the pandemic and put things in place to navigate and address future challenges. Madam Speaker, at the Ministry of Transport and Mining, we have policy oversight for land, air, and maritime transport, with responsibility for ensuring that all modes are connected, reliable, and viable. The agencies under the Transport Ministry have been working alongside stakeholders to transform the sector into one that competes effectively on the world stage. Before the pandemic, Madam Speaker, Jamaica's aviation traffic stood at 6.5 million passengers annually. As the main driver of our aviation traffic, tourism contributed approximately 80% of that total. The emergence of COVID-19 pandemic resulted in the closure of our borders to inbound traffic in March 2020, despite the borders reopening a few weeks later. Jamaica's aviation traffic fell by a stunning 67% in 2020. While recovery continues, the full return of aviation traffic to pre-COVID level is forecast to take place by 2025. However, based on the surge now taking place with tourism traffic, I am pleased to note that recovery could be earlier. The Airports Authority of Jamaica continues to execute its role in directly managing the Ian Fleming International Airport and the domestic aerodromes, Tinsipen, Ken Jones, and Negril. The AAJ also maintains concession administration and oversight of the two major airports, Sangster and Norman Manley International Airports. Airports are by nature, Madam Speaker, very capital-intensive facilities with ongoing expansion and other programs in response to traffic growth, industry and regulatory compliance, innovations for efficiency, and changes in the operational environment, such as those brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. There's a committed capital expenditure program of over $200 million among the AAJ, MBJ Airports Limited, and PAC Kingston Airports Limited, PACAL, operators of both the Sanctuary International Airport and the Norman Manley International Airport, respectively, to be implemented over the 22 to 25 period, with US $70 million slated to be spent this financial year. Phase 3 of the Sanctuary International Airport runway extension, totaling US $70 million, US $36 million will be spent this fiscal year, is being financed from the Airport Improvement Fund, AIF. The program aspects of which commenced in 2018 has 3 elements, including runway and apron expansion, shoreline protection, and enabling works. Madam Speaker, this runway extension project will increase the declared takeoff run by approximately 400 meters to 3,060 meters and provide runway end safety areas as mandated by the International Civil Aviation Organization. This extension will enable the SIA to accommodate long-haul flights from destinations we cannot now serve, such as East Asia. Additionally, MBJ is continuing its investment in the improvement and expansion of the facilities at Sanctuary International Airport. Having invested just under $300 million on capital projects since the commencement of the concession, the MBJ is slated to spend another $150 million, which includes the continued expansion of the departure terminal and a 3-megawatt solar power project. These projects will significantly improve the capacity and the passenger experience at SIA, with the departure lounge set for completion in July. And I've asked the Most Honorable Prime Minister to work with me in formally opening that lounge in July. Madam Speaker, PACAL, the operators of the Kingston Norman Manley Airport, they are in the process of implementing several projects. A 5-megawatt solar power project at a cost of US $7.8 million, which will provide 75% of the energy required at the airport. 75% of the energy required at the airport from a solar project. The first 2 megawatts, costing US $2.8 million, is set for completion in May of this year, and the remaining 3 megawatts, costing US $5 million, will be completed by December of this year. To commence in June, runway pavement improvements, rehabilitation works of US $4.5 million. This will commence in June of this year for completion by September 2022. Madam Speaker, the AAJ is also undertaking several projects to improve infrastructure and general aviation in the country, including at the NMIA Port Royal Road Shoreline Protection Project, Jamaica, $555 million, which is expected to be completed by June of next year. The IFIA New Fire Station, Jamaica, $130 million, with construction slated for 10 months, will end in December of this year. That's at the airport, of course, in Boscobel. The Lionel Densham Airdrome approval was granted to pursue the further development of a Jamaica $100 million project to acquire and upgrade the Lionel Densham Aerodrome. And the Holland Bamboo Airstrip. So my Minister of State can't be left out. The acquisition by lease of the Holland Bamboo Airstrip to be undertaken to facilitate airlift to local residents and improved access to tourism attractions in areas such as Appleton Estate and YS Falls. Madam Speaker, I am pleased to confirm that after a series of upgrades to facilitate scheduled international flights at the Ian Fleming International Airport, American Airlines has announced commencement of operations starting November 5 of this year, with 2 weekly flights from the Miami International Airport. I take this opportunity to publicly acknowledge the work of my predecessor and colleague Member of Parliament, Mr. Robert Montague, who during his time as the Minister worked vigorously to make this a reality. Madam Speaker, negotiations have been taking place with at least 2 other airlines, which could see their services commencing this year as well. Additionally, improvement works continue at the domestic aerodromes, aimed at encouraging growth in domestic aviation services. Welcome, former Minister. Madam Speaker, I'm further pleased to announce that Jamaica will vie for a council seat at the next General Assembly of the International Civil Aviation Organization to be held in September of 2022. Securing an ICAO council seat will help Jamaica to forge and maintain strategic partnerships with industry stakeholders and provides an opportunity for Jamaica to contribute to decision-making at one of the highest levels in the aviation industry. Madam Speaker, safety remains one of the primary obligations of the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority. Efforts continue to implement infrastructure and systems to ensure safety for all. This includes the installation of new Doppler Very High Frequency Omni-Range, DVOR, which is a navigational aid that defines air traffic control routes at the NMIA in the last financial year, and the replacement of the DVOR at Sangster International Airport, which continues in this financial year. Going forward, Madam Speaker, the JCAA has outlined several projects and initiatives, including the implementation of automatic dependent surveillance, broadcast surveillance technology for aircraft location via satellite navigation, low-level wind shear alert system, ground-based system to detect wind shear and weather phenomena, a new MEVA node, a common contingency telecommunications network, and upgrade of voice communication control system used for the provision of air traffic management services at the Tinson Pen Aerodrome. The authority will further work to implement a backup component for the communication network to help facilitate contingency procedures if air traffic services from the Kingston Air Traffic Control Center are suspended. This activity will also bolster efforts to ensure that the authority continues the implementation of more widely accepted protocols in accordance with the Regional Communications, Navigation, and Surveillance Air Traffic Management Plan. Madam Speaker, several interests in the aviation industry, including the JCAA and the AAJ, rely on Aeronautical Telecommunications Limited, AEROTOL, for technical support and engineering operations of the National Air Traffic Management Systems and communications, navigation, surveillance facilities. In spite of significant losses incurred during the pandemic, AEROTOL reinforced the capacity of its network operations and control center and its service delivery model, leading to better prospects for airspace safety. The company also rolled out the first phase of its safety management system framework for continued focus on flight safety in all aspects of company operations. AEROTOL also operates Cool 97 FM, which provides music and lifestyle programming in addition to aviation and travel information as prescribed by its broadcast license. Madam Speaker, there are developments in respect of Cool 97 FM, however, and these will be announced later, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Maritime Authority of Jamaica experienced a number of achievements last year, including 119 mega yacht registrations, taking the total yachts in Jamaica ship registry to 480 yachts are now registered in Jamaica. The establishment of a red ensign for Jamaican yachts intended to posture JSR yacht registrations as a reputable sign quality similar to the United Kingdom framework. Port state control inspections on 50 foreign flag vessels visiting Jamaican ports, which saw 3 ships being detained for non-compliance, and 1,212 inspections on small vessels operating in fisheries and tourism, water sports sectors. Madam Speaker, among the plans ahead for this sector are the advancement of a new model of the JSR, as well as the implementation of a maritime single window to facilitate the electronic clearance of ships in collaboration with the Port Authority of Jamaica. In December of 2021, Madam Speaker, Jamaica was re-elected for a 7th term to serve in Category C of the Council of the International Maritime Organization for the 2022 to 2023 biennium. Jamaica's membership on the Council enhances our capacity to promote more effective implementation of maritime safety and pollution regulations at the regional level. In terms of the Port Security Corps, over the last fiscal year, members of this Port Security Corps Limited continued to contribute to border security through screening services for passengers and luggage at Jamaica's ports of entry and exit. During the period, prohibited items such as marijuana, cocaine, firearms, and ammunition were detected by the PSC. These fines by our officers have positively contributed to Jamaica's relationship with our international partners and have helped to protect our image. My ministry is continuing to examine the operations of the Corps to determine how to best position the entity to maximize its earning potential and service provision. Madam Speaker, notwithstanding the challenges faced by the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, the company remains resilient. It is by no means perfect, but it remains one of the safest modes of transporting our people, and it has done some good things during the period. Partnership last year, the JUTC and the Child Protection and Family Services Agency partnered in the thrust to help recover and protect exploited and missing children. Under the initiative, approximately 650 staff members were trained in identifying signs of child abuse, awareness of human trafficking, handling incidents, and making reports. The JUTC has formed a partnership with Crime Stop to address the menacing problem of bus vandalism caused by stone-throwing incidents, which resulted in 70 buses being damaged last year. 70 buses being damaged last year. This partnership will include a campaign with rewards of up to $100,000 being offered for information which leads to the arrest and charge of persons who engage in this dangerous practice. It is no secret that the aging, limited fleet of the JUTC is unable to meet adequately the demands of the commuting public. We are looking to expand and diversify the fleet with new buses and alternative fuel. The procurement of the 50 new buses, 5 electric and 45 diesel, has received full approval, and the award notification has been issued to the supplier. This means all is in place for the delivery of the buses to commence within the financial year. The fleet will also benefit from the addition of a further 20 12-meter Golden Dragon CN compressed natural gas buses under the expansion of the natural gas project, in partnership with the New Fortress Energy Company Limited. This follows on from the pilot project which commenced in September of 2019. That's a total of 70 new buses we expect this year for the JUTC. And this is by no means enough, Madam Speaker. However, it is a start. The intention is to get to at least 400 buses as quickly as possible. And I see my colleague, spokesman on transport, smiling from ear to ear. Right? And you know, I see why he's smiling so much now, you know, Madam Speaker, because I heard him at a recent function saying that he was going to be minister in about 5 years. And then when I got up to speak, I recognized him and said to the chairperson and to the people there that I welcome the fact that he's going to be a minister of religion in 5 years. Back to my script. I'm pleased to advise that of the buses being acquired, the Montego Bay Metro will be benefiting to strengthen their fleet as well. This will definitely alleviate the plight of commuters in the western side of the island. In addition to diversifying the fleet with electric and CNG powered buses, the JUTC will commence testing the use of biodiesel with a view of expanding to the full complement of diesel-operated units in the fleet. Furthermore, the use of a diversified fueled fleet is an integrated approach being pursued by the government to enhance the efficiency of the JUTC. And I must say that I met with a team concerning biodiesel before coming here today, Madam Speaker. The JUTC has sought to procure the services of a consultant to guide the implementation of a new electronic fare collection and fleet management system. Subsequent to expressions of interest received, a request for quotations was issued with a timeline for responses by April 28th of this year. Madam Speaker, I can confirm that Wi-Fi, which was installed in some 350 buses, as per the stated program, currently some devices are faulty, some are being serviced, while others have gone missing. Today, apparently 170 buses maintain active internet connectivity. We will be working on in respect of addressing these challenges. Madam Speaker, the Jamaica Ultimate Tire Company Limited has expanded its product offerings from its core business of producing retread tires for the JUTC and other commercial entities to include the sale of new tires, batteries, and the provision of tire services, front-end alignment, wheel balancing, and nitrogen inflation. This has resulted in the company growing its customer base and reducing its dependency on the JUTC for business continuity. In spite of challenges induced by local and international factors, the company has remained profitable for the last 12 years. Over the last fiscal year alone, the customer base grew by 32%, and non-JUTC revenue increased by 7.3%. Madam Speaker, despite the effects of the pandemic, the Montego Bay Metro performed admirably with a 60% increase in route collections of $14 million. MBM currently operates 7 buses across 5 parishes. Although this is insufficient to meet the demand of the traveling public, the company continues to consistently meet its original mandate of taking children to school. Additionally, many hotel workers rely on the buses of MBM to take them to and from work daily. To increase security, tracking devices have been installed on the buses in the fleet with cameras to follow. This allows more accurate arrival times to be communicated to commuters, and we are moving forward with plans to implement a cashless system. Madam Speaker, the Transport Authority is an entity which has shown its resilience and dedication to actualizing its motto of regulating with vision. There is much work to be done. However, the authority has shown growth over the years. Through increased integration of technology, several mobile applications have been implemented, including the Travel PAL mobile application, which has already been launched and will be programmed for integration with the emergency 119 centers of the Jamaica Constabulary Force by August. A driver and conductor training application was also launched in January of this year, which allowed drivers and conductors to do their badge tests from a web-based application. While the Transport Authority will continue to ensure that public transportation is operated in accordance with the law, I have heard the concerns about the operations, and I'm taking a serious look at the processes. One of the initiatives to strengthen accountability is the establishment of a chief investigative department to receive and investigate complaints. As it relates to the governing legislation for the Transport Authority, we are mindful that this needs to be revised, and the first phase of the Transport Authority Act will be taken shortly in sync with the road traffic regulations. The regulations of the Road Traffic Act 2018 were tabled in Parliament in February and expected to come into effect very soon. These regulations will see to a completely revised mode of conduct on our roads and hold road users more accountable for their actions. More accountable for their actions. And I should indicate that there are some minor amendments to be made to these regulations, which will be done in short order in the House. Further, to the passage of the Road Traffic Act, which establishes the Island Traffic Authority as a statutory body, the transformation of the entity continues. In this financial year, the digitization operations will be extended to a further 7 examination depots. And this will enable access and analysis of our drivers' licensing records, ensuring greater integrity to the system. As we seek to modernize our driver testing operations and also to bring trust to our operations, we have been executing the electronic testing of provisional driver's license applications. It is our intention to have the technology implemented in a further 5 depots during this financial year. This initiative allows applicants to receive their grades electronically. The motor vehicle fitness and inspection process is to be strengthened with the implementation of geofencing technology in the financial year. This will ensure that there is evidence of vehicles being granted certificates of fitness, that these vehicles have in fact physically been present at the examination depots. I know, but we got to start somewhere. Madam Speaker, this issue of responsible road use and safety remains a major concern for the country. Despite the challenges, there is renewed hope with the launch of the United Nations Second Decade of Action for Road Safety, where the Honorable Prime Minister confirmed Jamaica's adaptation of the Safe Systems approach. Adoption of the Safe Systems will have a positive and wide-ranging effect on road safety, policy, and strategic outlook, as it requires shared systemic responsibility for ensuring safe roads, safe road users, safe speeds, safe vehicles, and quality post-crash care. The UN Second Decade of Action aims to reduce road traffic fatalities by 50% globally. And when you get a copy of the speech, it is road traffic fatalities, not road traffic facilities. Madam Speaker, the toll authority continues to monitor toll operators through routine inspections of infrastructure, traffic control management, employee safety practices, and observation of traffic flows. There is advocacy for legislation to fine pedestrians on the toll roads, fine motorists for tailgating, regulate advertisement on the toll roads, as well as make it mandatory for future concessionaires to pay of toll monitoring fees to the toll authority. The authority is further seeking empowerment to apply monetary sanctions on toll operators for non-compliance in the remedying of any defects, damages to the toll road infrastructure. Of note, Madam Speaker, is the renovation of escape lanes on the north-south highway to bring them closer to the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials standards. I turn now, Madam Speaker, to a subject that is very, very close to my heart. Because you see, Madam Speaker, when I was 10 years old, my mother, I want the Prime Minister to hear this, my mother took me and my twin sister. Yes, I am a twin. Fortunately for Audrey, we're not identical. But we would go down from Christiana and we'd go to Kendall and we would take the train from Kendall and we go to Montego Bay where we went to convention, church convention for the weekend and come back home on the train. And to know that this train service has been out for the past 30 years. Madam Speaker, we need to remind ourselves that our train service is one of the oldest train services in the Western Hemisphere, in the entire Western Hemisphere. Jamaica's train service was closed 30 years ago, not by this government, but we are going to revive the railway service in Jamaica, Madam Speaker. We have to ensure that Jamaica's rail service is put back on track. The pilot student passenger service project was successfully implemented this January to provide safe and cost-effective transportation to students from Old Harbor and Linstead to Spanish Town in an integrated multimodal transport system. 6 schools participated in the program, where the trains carried more than 66% of their capacity, transporting a combined total of almost 17,000 students on 2 round trips per day during the course of the pilot. As we approach the summer months, where schools will be closed, the option of opening up the service to the general commuting public is currently being explored. We are currently in pursuit of the rehabilitation of the rail infrastructure and the operation, Madam Speaker, of a tourist train service from Montego Bay to Appleton Estate by a private investor. which will facilitate the growth and development of the Jamaican economy and enhance the quality of Jamaica's tourism product. And along the way to Appleton, we will have special stops at places like Montpelier and Ipswich, where there will be special Catadupa, yes. There will be special things done at each station that will be part of the attraction for the tourists and for Jamaica. Further to this, reconstruction of the rail infrastructure from Kingston to Spanish Town is a critical next step for development. In order for this to be achieved, the Sandy Gully Railway Bridge will have to be rehabilitated. This will indeed require partnership with the National Works Agency, among others. And I want to say thanks to our university that has partnered with the train company in England with a plan now to have a revival of train service from downtown Kingston right along the rail tracks in Kingston as part of a plan to create a tourism attraction. And that is going to be financed by them, by the university in conjunction with a company in the United Kingdom. You will hear more details about that, Madam Speaker. Additionally, we are actively pursuing queries about moving freight on the active line in the Windalco corridor, Yuatan to Port Esquivel, as the railway's ability to transport large volumes of goods over long distances, typically unimpeded by traffic congestion, makes it the cheapest form of land transport, which contributes significant economic value in reducing transport costs. Now is the time to capitalize. In order to have vibrant economic growth, movement of people and cargo across the island is essential to achieving this. We are actively looking for investors to possibly partner with the government to revive the railway service island-wide. I have two formal proposals on my desk right now, Madam Speaker, one from India and one from China. And as you know, both countries have really brought the train service to new levels of dynamism in their countries. We must not forget, as I said before, that our railway is one of the oldest in the Western Hemisphere. We have a duty and a responsibility to return the train service to Jamaica. We'll reopen the rail service. We didn't close it, but we will reopen it. Mining remains one of the most controversial topics in our country.
Minister. House Leader.
Madam Speaker, may the Speaker's time for speaking be extended.
The question is that the standing orders be suspended to enable the Minister to continue his speech to its conclusion. Excuse me, member. The question is that the standing orders be suspended to enable the Minister to continue his speech to its conclusion, notwithstanding the time limit on speeches. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. You may continue, Minister Shaw.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker and members. And I promise you I will not abuse your approval. There is no doubt, however, despite the controversy around mining, of the value it adds to our economy and livelihoods. There are challenges, but I firmly believe that there is a balance that must be found between lives and livelihood. In the early stages of the pandemic, mining remained buoyant and was one of the country's largest foreign exchange earners. As policymakers and servants of the people, we have a responsibility to ensure that our actions today will leave a positive legacy for tomorrow. Conservative estimates have placed the remaining lifespan of bauxite mining in Jamaica at between 20 and maximum 30 years. With this in mind, we have been facilitating the investigation of alternative sources of mineral exploration and maximization. The Mines and Geology Division of this ministry had some significant achievements in the last financial year. The division became the newest partner in the local cannabis industry after being granted a special interim authorization by the Cannabis Licensing Authority in October of last year to provide laboratory testing services, particularly for the presence of heavy metals in cannabis and related products. This makes MGD the fourth approved cannabis testing facility in Jamaica. The Jamaica Mining Cadastre, JAMINCAD, was officially launched on March 11, 22. JAMINCAD is a computerized database designed to maintain and provide electronic access to documents related to minerals, such as leases and licenses. It has a map interface of locations and information staked for mineral exploration, mining and quarrying. It will also be used as a tool to determine whether land earmarked for exploration, mining, quarrying falls within restricted areas. JAMINCAD is a critical part of NGD's digital transformation, representing a shift from the current paper-based system. Funding for the project was provided by the European Union under the ACP EU Development Minerals Program, and for which we are grateful. Last year, the MGD collected approximately $112 million in quarry taxes, the most ever collected in a year, breaking the previous record of $99 million collected in 2021. The government is transforming the institutional arrangements for the management of the mining sector through the establishment of a Geoscience Institute that will lead research and pilot the management and development of the country's mineral wealth, excluding oil and gas. The Institute will subsume the functions of the Jamaica Bauxite Institute and the Geological Survey function of the MGD. This public body will facilitate the transformation of the sector into a diversified minerals portfolio with a predominance of value-added commodities. This includes the development of an integrated industrial minerals, metallic minerals, bauxite and alumina, and rare earth minerals sector. Madam Speaker, in 2021, the ministry began the preparation of a community relations plan, which includes a grievance mechanism for the entire extractive sector. This plan is modeled on international best practices and affords citizens the benefit of a structured approach to handling matters of conflict arising with mining companies that operate in their communities. A key strategy of Jamaica's national minerals policy is to transform the Bauxite Community Development Program into a minerals community development program, extending investment to communities that have been impacted by general mineral development activities beyond bauxite, and facilitating community development from resources generated by the sector. The ministry also initiated the development of a mobile application to calculate the cost of production at quarries. The app development is being funded by the ACP EU Development Minerals Program. Madam Speaker, in December of last year, Windalco began the expansion of their effluent holding pond, which controls discharge to the environment at Bindloss Gully. The project is aimed at decreasing the likelihood of runoff contaminating the Rio Cobre River. The expansion will result in an 80% increase of the current holding capacity to nearly 1.5 million cubic meters. Completion is scheduled for December of this year. Progress was also made on the revegetation of the bauxite residue disposal pond at Mount Russell, St. Catherine, which to date is approximately 80% complete. And in St. Anne, Madam Speaker, Noranda, Jamaica Bauxite Partners, has embarked on a reforestation project with the aim of planting 200,000 trees over a 3-year period. The company broke ground for a tree nursery facility which is being developed on mined-out bauxite lands. This initiative, while adding to the ongoing tree planting, greenhouse, aquaponics, and other land reclamation activities in the parish, will support the government's national tree planting initiative. In 2021, Concord Resources acquired the bauxite and alumina operations of New Day Aluminum LLC, which operates the Discovery Bay bauxite mines and alumina refinery at Gramercy in the United States. Concord has since rebranded to Atlantic Alumina Company Limited and is now the operating partner of the Noranda Jamaica Bauxite Partnership at Discovery Bay. In December, the profit-sharing fiscal regime for that bauxite operation came to an end. Both the Ministry of Transport and Mining and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service are in the process of negotiating a new bauxite production levy-based fiscal regime with the company and reviewing the model so as to modernize the parameters. Madam Speaker, the United Company, Rusal, late last year began making payments towards the US $35 million in bauxite production levy owed for the period April 2018 to September 2021. Between November 2021 and March 22, approximately 45% of the outstanding amount was paid to the Capital Development Fund. In addition, a structured plan for payment of the remaining amount has been developed. In excess, Madam Speaker, of 3,000 certificates of title are scheduled to be delivered to persons resettled by bauxite mining companies. During 2021, the bauxite companies delivered 116 titles to resettled persons, bringing the total number of titles issued since 2012 to 1,333, with another 119 titles being prepared for transfer. The target for this year is the delivery of 300 titles, and the bauxite mining companies are being encouraged to utilize all available modalities to implement the transfer of titles. It should also be noted that mined-out bauxite lands, whether owned by the bauxite companies or the government through the Commissioner of Lands, are usually reallocated by way of lease or sale in keeping with established provisions. Madam Speaker, the Jamaica Bauxite Mining Company, JBM, will be developing diversified streams of revenue through the utilization of its asset base. The JBM has embarked on initiatives. They can't just rely on bauxite mining anymore. They have to do other things. So the JBM has embarked on initiatives to strengthen internal human capacity, to improve operational and governance efficiencies, to be able to achieve the strategy. Throughout the pandemic, the usual shipment of limestone was maintained, even amidst the halt of cruise vessels. In fact, exports increased with over 140,000 metric tons of limestone shipped through the Reynolds Pier. The JBM also secured another regular exporter, Jamaica Aggregates, thus ensuring jobs were maintained and the sustainability of the limited-use public port operation. The mining sector continues to be a significant contributor to the foreign exchange reserves. Phase 3 of the Reynolds Pier PAJ Jamaica Bauxite Mining Development Plans have been completed, and the newly constructed modern facilities include a new administrative offices, warehouse, rehabilitation of the workshop building, and construction of a reception building to house immigration, customs, the police, as well as a separate Ministry of Health quarantine unit. Phase 4, the final stage, includes a pedestrian way with craft vending kiosks and is slated to commence in May. The JBM has partnered with Concord Resources in the Noranda Jamaica Bauxite Partners. Since this change in operating partner has collected 2.5 years of outstanding user asset fee, totaling US $3.4 million. Additionally, the JBM has initiated the commercialization of bottled water. Bottled water. This water, that's right, this water will be distributed in bulk to the cruise lines that dock at the Reynolds Pier. This innovative project will promote Jamaica's alkaline natural resource and will provide an economically viable revenue stream to the JBM. The project has been granted conceptual approval by the Public Investment Appraisal Branch and is slated to be launched in October of this year. Other plans include an industrial park involving, and this is really, I'm really pleased about this, an industrial park involving, Madam Speaker, the restoration of 3 dilapidated buildings into 60,000 square feet of modern storage facilities for commercial rental, a commercial park, and further development of the Reynolds Pier to include an ecosystem plan that will support the sustainability of the blue economy by increasing the industrial cargo export market, in particular limestone. The phased development of land projects will further the economic activity in the parish of St. Anne, with the creation of more employment opportunities. Madam Speaker, JBM has earmarked 150 acres within the Lidford estate to build 500 housing units. The affordable housing development will support the ecosystem infrastructure of the Lidford Industrial and Commercial Park projects, because these projects will include several sectors, including a business process outsource facility, among other things that will be creating much needed jobs in the St. Anne area. It is expected to bring much needed social and economic activity to the surrounding communities. That project will begin in December of this year. Madam Speaker, the Jamaica Bauxite Institute has a number of initiatives geared towards providing industry data in the bauxite and mining sector, including processability testing of bauxite sample from Gisco Alpart, which will give a measure of the suitability of particular bauxite for processing. These results are expected to assist Gisco Alpart in restarting the refinery. Experimental research on the development of an economically viable process for the recovery of rare earth mineral elements from red mud also continues. Research capabilities were strengthened with the procurement of a new inductively coupled plasma optical emission spectrometer. For the upcoming year, the Institute will pursue the upgrade and diversification of its laboratory services. This will include commercial testing of water samples and completion of ISO accreditation of select laboratory testing methods. The accreditation process was started in 2021 and is expected to be completed for certain test methods this year. The JBI will have the first ISO accredited bauxite laboratory in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, under the BCDP, there is currently a tree planting in schools initiative for high and primary schools in bauxite-bearing parishes. The construction of a new greenhouse and a water harvesting project has also been completed. Several rehabilitation and solar electrification projects implemented on behalf of members of parliament in bauxite constituencies have also been completed. The JBI has provided tablets for students from Mile Gully High School, 6 primary schools, and several tertiary institutions. Assistance has been rendered towards the construction of the Comfort Hall Community Center. This space houses a health center and library. JBI's partnership with the Jamaica Social Investment Fund on the Rural Economic Development Program will also see the BCDP investing over 100 million Jamaican dollars to erect greenhouse water harvesting sites across all 5 bauxite-bearing parishes in the coming months. This project will directly benefit over 340 small farmers and indirectly improve the lives and livelihoods of hundreds of others. Further to this, the JBI will be undertaking a solar electrification project to install $10 million worth of solar streetlights in rural bauxite communities towards the improvement of community safety and security. Other projects include the rollout of the castor bean project where 30 acres of castor bean plants will be cultivated on mined-out bauxite lands to produce castor oil for the local and international market. The JBI will also explore the use of waste material from the bauxite operations to produce bricks for the purpose of landscaping and beautification. Madam Speaker, as I come to the end of my presentation, when the most honorable Prime Minister entrusted me with the transport and mining portfolio, I assumed duties with a determination that this ministry will make a lasting impact on the lives of Jamaican people. As it is with every other ministry, there are mounting challenges, but we will not be daunted by the enormity of the task. We have an obligation to the people of Jamaica to do what we must in the nation's best interest and remain steadfast in our commitment to do just that. I have an excellent team here at the ministry who have dedicated their lives to creating a better Jamaica. The ministry remains committed to being the driving force behind a sustainable and reliable transportation system, as well as for a responsible and profitable mining industry. Only then can we rest assured that the generations ahead will have something to build on and be proud of. And as I wrap up, I want to make it very clear, Madam Speaker, that there are things other than bauxite for alumina in this country called Jamaica. There are things other than limestone, which is also very good. But we now have evidence and we now have technology being put into specific areas for the specific determination of the existence of gold, copper, and a range of rare earth minerals. This country has a lot to offer, and we're going to find it with God's help. We must get back on track with our revitalization efforts. We must get back on track with our obligations to our mining communities. We must get back on track with the provision of efficient and regulated transport services, including the railway. You can't get back on track and railway not into it. So, we must get back on track and revitalize with purpose. Madam Speaker, my colleagues, I thank you. God bless you.
Madam Speaker, I would like to thank my colleague and friend from North East Manchester for his wonderful contribution. Thank you, Minister Shaw. Madam Speaker, may I ask that the sectoral debate be now suspended until next week, Tuesday, the 3rd of May.
Question is that the sectoral debate be suspended until 3rd May, Tuesday 2022 at 2 p.m. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it.
Madam Speaker, it is not proposed to do any further business today, so I ask for the suspension of Parliament until next Tuesday, May the 3rd.
Question is that Parliament be suspended until next Tuesday, 2 p.m. sharp, May 3rd. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. This Honourable House now stands adjourned.